Good morning, ladies. Let me first thank each and every one of you for joining me this morning. I really appreciate you guys. It's my sincere hope that you walk away from this feeling empowered with some information that's going to translate into earning power for each one of you behind your chair. Before we begin, let me first tell you guys a little bit about myself. I'm Ferrell. I'm an instructor here in the state of Texas. I go by the handle Success the Educator. Success is important to me. My experience, I've been in this industry for exactly 21 years now, primarily as a barber, but I'm dual licensed instructor, cosmetology and barber. Those experiences, oh my God, first 10 years, shop owner, all right? Second 10 years, primary education. Through that time, I ran a program here in the city, Jay's Barber College, if any of you heard of it. I was director of that program for 8 years. During that time, I boast a passing rating of well over 90% on written, not just practical, okay? My experience also include I worked for PSI as a state exam rater. And the accomplishment I'm most proud of is I was elected by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation to be on their committee called the Exam Review Committee here in the state of Texas on barbering, and given the title Subject Matter Expert on Barbering. So I tell you these credentials not to impress you, but simply impress upon you that I'm serious about the work I do in this industry. Okay, so I'm serious about what I say to you guys this morning. I really want this to be meaningful. I want this to be impactful. I want you guys to ask questions, okay? The only dumb question is the one that you do not ask. I want you guys to walk away from it with a better understanding. And know this, no one can teach you how to cut hair. We can share the concepts applied to cutting hair, but you're gonna have to make the connection. So what I want to do today is I want to share those concepts with you. And before I go any further, I want to give a special thanks to Miss Rachel Young and the Ogle School for allowing me this platform. Some people along my career I haven't seen a while. Take my TDLR experiences. Ray Pizarro, Marinella LaFleur, Gina Hoffman, Lynn Thomas. Thank all you guys. I know I haven't saw you in a while, but I really appreciate working with each and every one of you. And I look forward to seeing you guys again. Let's jump in. One of the biggest things I've noticed about this industry is that people are afraid to cross cultural and ethnic lines. People are afraid of hair that does not look like their own. And what is one of the main things you guys hear all the time when you're working throughout your day? I want someone who deals with natural hair. How often do you hear that, right? So let me ask you guys a question. Which one of these models do you think have natural hair? Both. That's right. Hair that has not been chemically altered is natural hair. It's all keratinized protein. What's the difference between the two? The characteristics. Now, know that characteristics can, they're dominant. For example, one characteristic is a wavy, coily wave pattern on African American hair. However, as you look at we're not Caucasian, we're Spanish, right?
Yes.
Okay, as we look at my Spanish friend here, all right, you see we have straight and we still have a wave pattern, right? So the only difference is our wave pattern is a little tighter here, more curly. So characteristics you need to be able to identify as a hair professional. Wave pattern, texture, density. These are the things that has the most effect on haircuts. All right, just plain haircuts. I didn't go into porosity or elasticity. That's when you're going into your chemicals. But for hair cutting, your main characteristics are going to be your wave pattern, density, and texture, okay? Texture, coarse, fine, and medium. The thicker the hair strand, the more coarse. The smaller the diameter, the more fine, all right? Coarse, fine, medium. Your texture, your density. What is density? Density is number of hairs per square inch in a particular area on the scalp. Density is important because the less dense the more hair is, as you get closer to the scalp, the closer it's gonna appear. It's gonna appear to be lower because there's not as much hair in that area. Hair can be coarse and less dense and appear to be fine. You get it? All right? So, this is the first for me. I'm kind of excited about this here. We're gonna jump in and we're gonna take care of 2 models simultaneously, and we're gonna look at the differences between the way their hair behaves as we're cutting. Now, to cut hair, we have, we'll not cross-contaminate, we have 7 basic hair cutting techniques at our disposal. Okay, so when we're cutting hair, you have freehand clipper cutting, you have clip over comb, you have finger and shear, shear over comb, razor over comb, razor rotation. Is that 6 or 7? Well, okay, so mastering cutting hair is simply learning those techniques, becoming proficient at each one of those techniques, and knowing when to employ that particular technique on a haircut. It's that simple. It can be learned. All right, so let's start with our extremely curly hair pattern. All right, so I work with a blade system. Blades have been around for longer than I've been in the industry. What blades do is they work in chronological order to fade hair for you. You don't have to guess, you don't have to assume. If you learn the blade system and you graduate those blades in chronological order, it will fade the hair for you. You simply have to learn your tools and know when to employ those tools in order to get that result. Everybody got that? Any questions so far? Y'all ready to dive in? Okay, all right. So, I don't want to leave this out. A haircut is more than a haircut. A hairstyle is more than a hairstyle. If we all do hair, what makes my client come to me? What makes him drive all the way across town to sit in my chair? My personal service. So I have to tell you the importance of how you engage your clients is very important. The first time you meet your client, the importance of that first impression, that handshake, that eye contact, that how you doing today, sir? Thank you for joining us today. And then what are we going to before we start our cut? Consultation. Consultation, I cannot tell you how important consultation is. You must know what your client is looking for. I cannot tell you as an educator how many times I've seen a client say, well, I said I want this, and you've got that. That comes from a not too thorough consultation. So, what are we looking for today, young man?
I would like all even, fade in the back, fades on the side.
Okay, all even, fade in the back, fade on the side. As the professional, you have to know he wants to taper. Even though he said all even, somebody might just hear all even and never taper him, give him an edge up in the mirror. Now, how much do we want to take off here, sir? I tell you what.
Down to a 1.5.
Good. 1.5. Okay, my man knows his blade. So, okay, you lucky. You got a client that knows what he wants. But if not, what's a good question I can ask him to know how much we want to cut off of here? Well, we asked that, but what if he's not really sure? Just take a little. So, when was the last time you got a haircut, young man?
About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
About 2 weeks ago? So we know the hair grows on average about a ½ inch per month, right? So we want about a 1/4 inch off. You see how that works? All right, so 1.5, give us that 1/4 inch off. Let's see how this 1.5 affects this young man's hair. Now, we're dealing with a curlier type hair texture wave pattern. All right, we cut hair either one of 2 ways. You see how the hair flows? So I have to do my hand scalp analysis before I ever even go in here and start cutting hair, right? What am I paying attention to? I'm paying attention to the wave pattern. I'm paying attention to the hair streams. Hair streams is hair that flows in the same direction. Okay? I want to pay attention to all of that. I want to look for whorls. I want to look for cowlicks. I want to look and see if the hair is behaving differently in any particular area. Because every time that stream changes, I need to change my direction. And I'm going to be either doing 1 or 2 things with this client. I'm either going to be going with that stream or against it. The difference between the two is when I cut against the stream, it results in a closer cut. Okay? So we know we want a 1.5 with the grain. That's with the hair stream. All right, so let's go ahead and get him cut down to 1.5 with the hair screen. And you must be careful anytime you're cutting hair with the grain, because if any point you go across the grain, that's the same as going against the grain, and you will have a shorter area, or as some people like to call a plug. So be careful with that, all right? Especially in our crown area, because this is where our natural whorl appears. So you have to be careful to stay with that flow. You notice I'm in the back, but I'm going sideways. I'm not going down, right? That's because that hair is flowing in that direction and not downward. If I go downward, I will be going across the grain, and we may not like our results. We're gonna have to cut a lower cut there.
Mr. Ferrell,
Yes, ma'am.
what color
These are Oyster 76s. Now, there's a lot of new, lighter weight, cordless, and different options. You don't necessarily have to use this type of unit, but this unit is time tested. It's been around for as long as I have in the industry and longer. And so, for heavy lifting, for all day, this is gonna get you that. 76s, 111s, anything that employs a blade system. I believe in the blade system because it makes hair cutting so much easier. Okay, when you employ the blade system, like I said, I'll get into it once we begin to fade the hair, but you'll see how, let me try to give you. So when you're doing ladies' haircuts, in order to get layers, what do you do to the hair? You elevate, correct. So what the blades does from one side to the next is they elevate. Make sense? Once you go from one blade to a larger blade, you're elevating. You're going up. All right, 1.5 with the grain. You see that? Now let's see what happens when I turn this same 1.5 blade over and I cut his hair against the grain. See the difference in the length? No, we didn't. We want to fade. And remember, the blades fade the hair for you. And graduation works in both directions, with the grain and against the grain. So we started our cut with the grain, with the 1.5, right? So to get this area a little shorter, so this begins to meet with this shorter area, we want to cut this a little lower. All I simply do is switch to my next shorter blade and cut with the grain. Okay? And it's going to now shorten this area. It's not going to totally eliminate our line, but we're working on it. All right, still see our line a little bit, right? Now remember, graduation goes in both directions. So if I want to go against the grain into that line, do I need a bigger blade or a smaller blade than the 1.5? I need a smaller one to go against the grain. I want to get bigger. From my 1.5, I go to my 2. What do we see happening to our line? All right. It's simply knowing where to use your tools effectively. It's knowing your tools and where to place. All right. Now, we started with a 1.5. We want to fade this down shorter, so against the grain, I want to go shorter. Now, what I need to make sure that I do is not go past my 1.5 with my lower blade. As long as I stay underneath, it will begin to fade out. And I don't know if you can tell by my movement, but I am performing what is called a C-stroke. I know y'all hear people say flick of the wrist. So when you execute that clipper, you wanna, because if you don't, you'll still see weight in between your blades. All right? Any questions? Questions, comments, concerns, anybody, not everybody all at once. How we looking back here, y'all? You know what? You just made a good point, Miss Felicia. We're laying the rough draft. It's not gonna be finished until you do your finished work. So it's not gonna look its best until you've detailed it with an outline. All right, so let's just see how to begin to look with an outline.
What type of outline is
This is, okay, so I don't endorse anybody. We'll talk about it after class. There is a vast array of products to choose from out here. And until somebody cut me a spokesperson check, I'm not endorsing anybody. But I am open for discussion. What we think? What we think, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah? 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 Y'all like that? Okay, so now let's go over here and take a look at how our straight hair behaves as opposed to our curly hair. All right? So we started with a 1.5 with the grain. All right? So let's start 1.5 with the grain on this young man and see what we come up with. Well, we're still gonna fade. We're still going to, if you notice, his fade is more all the way around than just at the nape and the temple. It's gonna be all the way around, but it's gonna be the same techniques to get the result. We just wanna see the difference in behavior between straight hair and curly hair so that you guys can begin to stretch yourself, get outside of your comfort zone. I know the first time you did the service, you were nervous, but you had to do the first one, right? Same with hair cutting. Jump in there while you're in school, while you're here, while you have the opportunity when those clients come in. Do not be afraid. Jump, get out there and do it, all right? If you learn from the experience, the haircut was a success. Doesn't matter what it looked like. If you learn, no, I'm serious. You're here for professional development. You're learning, you're in training. So you need to train. You got to get the reps in. Do you think that the first time I picked up tools, I knew what I was doing? The very first kid I cut in Barber College, I forgot to put tonic on. I was so nervous. I didn't have a neck strip. Like, I was nervous. I was really shaking in my boots. So I understand. I know the feeling of anxiety. Get over it. Challenge yourself to be comfortable with what you're uncomfortable with, and you'll be doing it like it's nothing. All right? So let's go 1.5 with the grain and see what happens. Okay. When you're cutting straight hair types, cutting with the grain is either gonna leave it patchy in a lot of cases. It's not gonna do anything at all like you just saw. So anytime you're cutting straight hair, freehand clipper you want to cut it against the grain. Straight hair means you're going to have to open your repertoire a little bit. We're going to have to employ techniques with straight hair that we don't necessarily have to employ with curly hair to get our results. Who can tell me what one of those are? Plus, we're leaving it long on top. So once we get past what the blades cut, we have to go into our other techniques. Our finger and shear techniques, our clip over comb techniques, our shear over comb technique. Now, what happens when we cut this straight hair against the grain? We see that? Now, I have not made mention of the most important implement I have at my disposal up here, and I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for you to utilize it when cutting. Who knows what that is? That mirror. The mirror sees what you don't see. Always check your work in the mirror. You missed it, the mirror's not gonna. All right? When you're cutting, comb to check the effect. Always comb as you cut. Right? So, we just determined that cutting with the grain didn't do anything for us. So what are we gonna do here to begin to graduate? We're gonna stay against the grain. That's absolutely right. Say again. With a bigger blade going up, with a smaller blade going down. Now, I'm gonna do something to show you guys how this works. I'm gonna skip 2 blades. I'm not gonna go to the very next blade. I'm gonna skip 2 and go up, and I'm gonna leave weight in between on purpose. So we went from a 1.5 to a 3.5. I skipped on purpose. I'll come back to my 2 to get the weight in between. Just to show you guys how the blades work. So once you understand the blades, you can work them in any order you like. The key is not getting lost in the blades. If you understand them, you know that you can place them. All righty. See the weight in between? 1.5, 3.5. See our weight in between here? So what's gonna get that? My 2. Absolutely correct. Question. Not everybody all at once. So, how do we cut hair relative to the hair stream? With or against? Against if I'm cutting what? Straight hair. We cut with or against the grain. Now, let's go down low. We're not gonna transition to the top yet. So see, I could have very easily started with the smallest blade and worked myself up. It works the same way, as long as I know how to place the blades so that they work in order together. Are we seeing the hair begin to fade? We seeing it? We still got to blend that top though, right? Who can tell me what technique we're gonna use to get that top? Because if that's a 3.5, that's my largest blade. I got a couple options I could use. Shear over comb, clip over comb, That's right. Either one of those will get me what I'm looking for. So there's more than one way to get the tooth. How we looking back there, y'all? And all we're doing is placing our blades properly in chronological order. Now see how easy that is? Now, some of you may be saying to yourself, but I don't have those tools. I just have a starter set. Well, we all started with a starter set. You have to invest in yourself. I think I had a pair of peanut edgers. Yeah. So I know. And, I know it's not easy as a student, but you gotta trust, you gotta believe, you gotta invest, you gotta know that you're making the best bet, and that's on yourself. So go out and invest in yourself. Get the tools necessary to perform whatever services you're gonna want to perform. Preparation is the key. We've all heard the saying that a mechanic is only as good as his tools, right? Well, you all are hair mechanics. Yeah, how often do you walk around in this place and you hear someone saying, let me borrow, do you have, can I? Yeah. Don't let me catch your hand in my toolbox. Go be a prop. All right. So, now switch our technique. How do we get weight? By doing what? How do we get layers out of weight? By doing what to the hair? Elevating, simple. Now, you gotta know this. Horizontal cutting lines still will give you weight. So you gotta make sure if you're going horizontal that you get the elevation in there. You got it? So, and when you cut and clip over comb, remember this. Anytime you clip over comb, train on your track, not off. Get it? So, if I'm elevating here, I'm cutting here. We got it? Now you see how I extend and come out with my comb? What is that doing for me? That's giving me the elevation, right? Short on the bottom, long on top, elevation. And what is it doing? Everybody see? You have to be careful when you're placing this comb, because if you go in deeper, you have to stay consistent with your elevation in that area, because if you don't, you'll have an area that's shorter, appears to be a patch. All right. How we looking? How's it coming together for you ladies? Y'all like it? All right. Everybody glad y'all made the investment in this class this morning? Let me commend each of you on that. Your professional development, as it should be, is very important. I applaud you, and I ask that you don't stop here. Continue to go out, continue to seek more training classes to better yourself at your craft. All right. So, has this been helpful so far, the interview? Yeah? All right. So, I want to take this time on video to say what's up to X-Man and Big Zach, because that's who I'm making this video for. That's my two sons that decided to leave the city to ask me how to cut hair. But I'm proud of those guys. I miss them, and hopefully this video will help you guys out. Xavier is actually in the Navy cutting hair, and will be attending Barber College this year. So I'm proud of that. So thank you, son, for giving me the courage to take this step. All right. Say again. Say that again. I hadn't cut his world. Okay. Well, when I get there, I'll show you. Nah, it's okay. It's okay. We're going to texturize this too a little bit, get that weight out of that. How many of you ever use your thinning shears?
Yeah.
See? See what we still may have? See that? This is what my thinning shears is going to do for me. Did y'all see that? See our weight? See we still got some weight here? Go ahead. Did I hear a question? Thought I heard a question. Who's
I
that?
have a question.
Go ahead.
I know you're like almost basically doing the same thing, but would it be a different price charge?
On services,
Yeah, like between
haircut is a haircut. Haircut is a haircut. Men's haircutting. Now, that's an excellent question, and thank you for asking it. The only difference in prices when you go from one top shop to the next is what? You know, is the caliber of the salon that you're working in is going to dictate the prices that are on the wall. You have your average salon price, you got your low-ball salon price, you got your upscale salon price. They all cutting hair. What's the difference between those salons? The professionalism. The professionalism is the key in this industry. It does not matter. I tell you, clients will overlook imperfections for good service. I know because I've had clients overlook my imperfections for the sake of good service. So now let's see if we get the same effect once we put a line on this hair. If it begins to, see how it begins to shape up for us. What'd you say? So just basically with the nape area, I've showed you how to fade. To fade his temple areas, we simply follow the same steps. All right, what do you think, ladies? Now, you saw me edging up. I didn't show you edging out. Let me show you. When you edge up, when you take your tool, okay, a line is simply a series of connected dots. Don't try to make the whole line. Make it one dot at a time so you can make it as precise as you can. So what do I mean by that? I'm working with the corner of the blade, not the whole blade. You see that? Just the corner to draw out that line. Y'all see that? And I use both corners depending on where I am. Y'all see how that works? See that? Corner of your blade. How y'all liking it so far? Y'all glad y'all made the investment? Come on now, y'all give me some energy. It's okay, y'all can make a little noise. It's all right, I know some of y'all not woke yet. Last night was Saturday. And as somebody said, the turn up was real. Well, guess what? I got a little turn myself last night. Now, to answer your question before I switch back over. The most commonly used elevation of men's hair cutting is 90 degrees. 90 degrees straight out from the growth source is going to produce even layers. I don't care where you are. You simply elevate that. Now we've got over direction here. What does over direction do? It creates length in the section. That's right. So as you see, it gets longer as it moves toward the front. But in the colic area, even still, we simply elevate. We elevate and we cut. And we follow our line.
And you always want to keep the cowlick or whirl a little bit longer so it lays better, correct?
That will be dictated by the wave pattern. Okay? Straighter ones are just gonna stick straight out. Curly wavy ones like so are gonna do what you see he is doing. And so you're gonna have to be dictated by that wave pattern and just make the cuts necessary. Sometimes you have to cut after what is called the trough of the waves. Okay, so wave, you see the wave? You have the crest and you have the trough. The crest is that deep part, the trough is going over the top. If you cut after the trough, it's going to fall forward into the crest. If you cut just before the trough, it's going to stick back out. Y'all get it? So be guided by the wave pattern. They got you? All right. So, how we looking over here? Oh man. See how quick and easy that was? See that? All right, give it up for my model Joseph. What blade did we start with here? 1.5, 1.5, and we taper. So in order to get this side fade, actually I'm gonna just go ahead and go down to my 1. Go ahead and drop down to my 1 for the sides because we know we want a nice clean tape on this side. And we cut a 1.5. So my 1A, if I know I cut 1.5 with the grain, I can 1A with the grain. And all I'm doing is fading that, you know. Even though you can't tell, that's 2 different lengths on top. But it gets shorter because this is a shorter blade. My graduation works in both directions. So I just graduated with the grain from a 1.5 to a 1A. I started with a 1 against the grain. So now I'm going with my 1A up. By the time I make it to a 2, I should be faded out going up against the grain. Everybody get that? So putting the blades in order, placing them properly is all it takes to get a fade. That's right, never skip. So the first thing you learn is the blade set.
So when you go against the grain, you lean in the hand.
Okay, so I'm going with and against in both directions. And I'm letting the blades meet in the middle. Because remember, I went 1.5 with the grain. I went 1.5 against the grain. I went 1A with the grain. I went 1A against the grain. Going against cuts shorter than going with. Now, if I cut you a 1A with the grain, I just cut you a 2 against the grain. You get it? So if I'm 1/8 with the grain here, by the time I get to 2 against the grain, it should be the same length. You get it? So the blades are meeting up. If I'm cutting against the grain though, I'm not going up above. I'm staying below the higher blade. If I'm cutting with the grain, I'm coming down from higher to lower. And the blades are meeting in the middle. Got it? Say again? Okay, so that's a whole nother lesson. A basic rack, there's plenty of blades out there. A basic rack is 9 blades from 5 out through 3.5. All right, I won't get into that. I'll teach you guys. But anyway, 5 out, 4 out, 3 out, OA, 1, 1A, 1.5, 2, 3.5. With that basic set of 9, you can cut any kind of haircut you want if you learn how to work them. Got it? Remember, I said 1A against. 1A with. I'm at a 2 against right here. So, what has happened? My blades have met up. You see your fade. It'll be more precise once you do what? Detail it. Put your edge line. And then if you got any cleaning up to do, you go back and clean it up. So, after we learn the different tools and techniques at our disposal, when to employ a particular tool or technique, well, then you figured out hair cutting. It's that simple. Learn your tools, learn how to use them, learn when and where they need to be used, and you know how to cut. Give me a moment there for you.
Little bit.
All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here shortly. All right. Remember what we said about our edges? Work my corners. Work my corners. And now certain hair textures and cutting, you'll get the result you see here with an edger. Get a nice clean result with an edger. In other hair textures, you may or may not get that nice clean result with your edges alone. So as barbers, we love to grab our signature tool, which is straight razor. Now, you know, we all have our niches in the industry. We all have that one thing that we go to that we love more than anything in this industry that we do. For me personally, clients drove far and wide to get a straight razor hot towel shave from me. That is my specialty, the straight razor. It is a lost art. And so many of these young guys are running from that straight razor. All you gotta do is hit your man Success the Educator. Straight razor execution, I got you. Y'all ever see Training Day? I'm surgical with this bitch, Jake. All right. And because this is a cause class, I won't employ any straight razor techniques. But let me ask you guys this. Are you interested in learning how to use a razor and get paid? Because as cosmetologists, you can't use a straight razor, but you can use a safety razor. And if I teach you the principles applied to shaving, you can still do it. You just have to use a safety razor as opposed to a straight razor. And you can clean up on head shaves. Trust me. That hot towel service, that facial, Yeah, men will come from far and wide to get in your chair. I guarantee you.
When you teaching that class?
Okay, we will set a date. I will definitely set a date for you guys. Ah. Any questions, ladies? How we feeling out there? How y'all enjoying the class? Success the Educator. You know, I've got a couple things on there. I've never really just been active. I just got a couple things I just felt good in that day, and so I uploaded something. I'm not really all that tech savvy and haven't really jumped out there like that, but I got a good feeling about this. And, you know, being here at Old School and having this platform, you know, I'm gonna look more into building a digital platform, building from here, because, you know, we've got young, eager minds ready to grow. And I wanna do all I can to help you guys reach your ultimate peak of success, all right? As Success the Educator, I measure my success not by what I accomplish, but by what I help you to accomplish. Therefore, your success is my success. I'm proud to say that I've got barbers all over this city that have trained under me, shop owners. You've created a living, you've created a life. I know how hard it is as young people to figure it out, to get it together. Well, as a young 25-year-old man, I didn't have it together until I found this industry. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I know what it did for me. I know that without this industry, I don't qualify to do anything but push a broom somewhere for somebody. And that wasn't in my makeup. I just know. I wanted a quality of life. I wanted to live a certain lifestyle, and barbering has helped me do that. All right. What we think, ladies? What we think, ladies? All right, so. Y'all like? Y'all like? Okay, so let me just leave y'all with this. All right, so I like to tell this story of when I started Barber College. July 1997. Yeah, July 1997. That's 21 years ago. That's when I started this journey. I can remember when I got my kit. At first, I remember I told y'all I had peanuts for edges. I didn't know that they were sorry, but I didn't know that there were more quality tools out there, because I was learning as well. And so when I got that first kit, I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, it's ready. I'm on, it's on, I'm ready to do this. So I can remember my instructor telling me, she was like, son, you're gonna need some more stuff to be successful. Like, okay, make me a list. I take my lunch break, I go to Nelly's, I'm gonna go buy it. We got this, it ain't no problem, I got you. She just laughed at me. She was like, nah, son, what you need, you possess, you can't buy. Question is, can you tap into it? I said, what do you mean? She say, okay, so number one, you need a pleasant attitude. People are not going to give you their money for bad service with a poor attitude. Number two, you need to learn punctuality. You need to be on time. You have a 10 a.m. appointment with a client. You set that appointment, you need to be there on time, ready to work. That don't mean at 10 o'clock you need to be walking in the door, setting up. That means at 10 a.m. you're ready to service your client. Most importantly, you know, you need a mindset that drives an action to succeed, which means I'm in the customer service business. So it's about serving my clients, it's not about me, okay? Success is simply a mind state that drives action to get the result. It's that simple. But am I strong enough to make the decision to put my personal me aside, create a professional me from 9 to 5? I'm not saying change who you are, just create an individual that is professional from 9 to 5, and don't be you until after 5. If we can figure that out, so many more of us can be successful. Think about it. How many people do you know? We all know someone. You ask yourself, man, that girl, she can do some hair. Man, that dude, he can cut some hair. Why can't they get it together? We all know someone like that, right? It's because they don't want to put themselves aside mentally and create a professional individual that knows how to operate beyond cultural lines, beyond gender lines, beyond racial or ethnic lines. Because because I'm black, I only serve black people, that means I only make black dollars. I just close my pocket to a whole nother demographic. It's all hair, it's all science and art, it can all be learned. Learn it, challenge yourself. The more you learn, the more you earn. All right? Have you guys enjoyed this presentation today? Thank you so much once again. Give yourselves a big hand. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for your time this morning. I'm Success the Educator. Your success is my success.
Yeah, my name is Marcus. I'm in cosmetology school. Mr. Ferrell here, he's been around, he's been helping out. And to be honest, I've been cutting a little bit. I've been taking some cutting clients and I've been getting some experience. But every time I do it, I learn something new from them. And this class is super helpful. It taught me a different technique with the detachables and how useful they are and how versatile you can be with them. So if you haven't came and got the class, come and get the class. Check him out. He's on YouTube. Yeah, man, it was great.
From what I took away from the class is not only from a technical standpoint, how to cut hair, but also a mental standpoint, how to understand it, and from a client standpoint, how to treat your clients, and also anything that can help me in the future. And I really appreciated it.
Hello everyone, and today I took Success the Educator's class. Got a little country twang, so work with me a little bit. But no, real talk, it was very educational, it was very informal. I learned how to fade. I learned which blades to use on certain types of hair. And I mean, if y'all want to learn more, just come on to the class. Like, you could do what I did and you could learn more.
Okay, guys, this was a really educational class. I'm glad that I took it. I learned so much about hair cutting. Can't wait to apply some of these techniques to my own clients in the future.
Hello, everyone. I highly encourage that you take Success to Educators cutting class. I did just now, and I'm super excited to open up my avenue of doing men's haircuts and hopefully being in the men's barbershop someday.